Hello everyone, so I'm back with another 90s Barbie collection. So today I will be going from this point onward. And I've already gone over all of these dolls in the last 3 parts. So if you want to see that, I will include a link in the description of this video. Without further ado, I will be showing you all my dolls from 1996 and on, as far as I can get to before my memory card runs out of space. So, as always, please keep in mind that a lot of these dolls were bought secondhand at thrift stores, flea markets, and various different secondhand places. So the dolls are going to be in various different states of conditions. A lot of them are not wearing the original outfits. So please keep that in mind and be respectful, and don't ask me if any of these dolls are for sale, trade, donation, or if I'll give you any. They mean a lot to me, and they each have their own little unique backstories and little fun tales about them. So please be respectful and keep that in mind. So without further ado, I will be showing you all of my Hula Hair Barbies. I've already done a review over them, but I will go over them again. I'll probably include a link to that video in the description as well, so you can hear a little bit more about them. It wasn't a very professional video, and I kind of ramble on, but I will include a link. So these are my 1996 Hula Hair Barbies. This was the first one I got at a indoor flea market back in 2008, I believe, or 2007. I can't really remember. This was the second one that I got, and I got her at a thrift store back in 2015, and she was really ratty. It looked like someone had tried to do dreads. Well, actually, no, they didn't do dreads. They did a lot of braids in her hair. No, Christy, as I call her, and the reason I call her Christy, I know that a lot of people say she's supposed to be Barbie, because otherwise it would have said Christy on her box, but the fact is that she is completely different from Barbie. She doesn't come wearing the same color coordination, so I'll get to that in a minute. But this one was the second one I found, and someone had tried to do braids in her hair, but I felt really bad because I went to the flea market, and several years back before I got her, I think it was back in 2010, and I'd actually found a Hula Hair Barbie. And I felt really bad because I didn't buy her because she was in raunchy condition and I wanted to save her, but I was like, I already have one, so I don't need another one. So it was kind of like me rescuing this one to make up for not getting that one. So, and she actually had her bikini bottoms, which I do have. And then we have this one who is in super mint condition. I still have her, I have her flowers. She came with her thing, which I have braided into her hair. And she has pretty much everything original. There's like her brush. I think she came with a brush and stuff like that. Those are some accessories she does not have, but she is super mint, and she has the thickest hair out of all of them. Like, her hair is super thick. She has a really nice face. All these are made in China, but there is a Malaysia variant and an Indonesia variant, which the Malaysia one is really pretty. She has a really soft, innocent looking face, and her lips are like really dark, so I really want to get her. But yeah, I got her in 2007, her 2015, and I also got her in 2015 as well. So like shortly after I found her, I found this one, and she was in a baggie all by herself. And then we have my Christy, which I got. She was the second Hula Hair doll I encountered. So I got her in a bag of other dolls at a thrift store called Thrift City in Louisville. And I suspect she was owned by a little black girl because someone had tried to do dreads in her hair. And dreads aren't the ones where you do a lot of braids. They're like where you take the hair and you ball it up into different sections and make it kind of like, I don't want to say cornrows, but it's kind of like nappy looking with each. Like, it looks like you take a strand, it's kind of hard to describe, but you take a piece of hair and you kind of like twist it and ball it up and stuff, and that's how you do dreads. But someone had tried to do that in her hair, and it was really horrible. It took me like hours to comb her out. That was before I started using a dog brush to detangle their hair. And she lost quite a bit of hair, but I remember freaking out so heavily when I found her because she's like the most rare out of them all, and she still had her bikini and everything. So she's one of my favorites. But yeah, going back to her, not only is she different color coordinated, but they also use the Asha face mold instead of the, well, for example, this Christie mold, which is basically the Superstar mold altered. Like, you can see the similarities between the Superstar mold and this Christie mold. So it's basically they took that head mold and they altered some features to make her more of an African American background. So I feel like they would have given her that head mold if she were going to be Barbie. And not only that, her makeup's completely different. Just everything, the color coordination is completely different. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. So that's why I call her Christie instead of just African American Barbie. And then we have my Hula Hair Teresa, and I got her from eBay. And funny story about her was she was on the wrong body, and it wasn't even a Barbie body. She was on a clone doll body, and she was jammed down onto the neck, and the body had like a giant ball thing. I don't know how they got her head on that body. I paid $5 for her, but she's like another one that was hard to find. So I decided to cave and get her, and I thought it would be fun to restore her. But of course, when I found her, her hair was completely balled up and had a ponytail holder stuck in it. But you couldn't tell by looking at her now. And I decided to put her in Jewel Hair Mermaid Midge's outfit because I really like it, and it goes with her hair and makeup. Then we have my 3 University Cheerleader Barbies, the first editions. They were the ones that came with the more big animated eyes, and they had the red lipstick. So this one was the first one I got back in 2007, I believe. And she was owned by this little girl that, well, what the story was, there was this neighbor girl, and I was friends with the mom. And so her little girl got a bunch of Barbies from this other family that was getting rid of them. And this little girl was throwing her around and just like torturing her and stuff like that. And then she abandoned her out on the lawn at our apartment complex. So I, of course, rescued her. I asked the mother at first if it was okay, and she didn't mind because her daughter didn't want the doll anyway. So I wound up rescuing her, and she's got a fat head because her neck got broken in the process. So yeah, back then, I wound up painting her nails and stuff, so. And then we have my 2, this one's made in China. And I'm not sure if you can see any facial differences, but their faces both look different from the Malaysia ones. I don't know, her eyes are more sleepy looking, and her eyes are smaller than these ones. These ones I found them both together. And I rebodied them because their bodies fell apart pretty badly. So I put them on these bent arm bodies, and they're both Malaysia bodies, just like they're both Malaysia variants. So I found them both in the same baggie together. So I felt really amazing that I could save them. And they turned out really nice. I really like the Malaysia version's face. She has a very bright expression. And then we have my really sad looking Star Trek and Ken Barbie. She was from this Star Trek Ken Barbie set. I think she was 97 or 96, I can't really remember. But she came with the Ken doll, and I remember I got her at the flea market from a lady back in 2015. And the lady used to sell a lot of Barbies, and she had a lot of used ones. And this one was wearing Super Talk Barbie's jacket and skirt. I think she was actually wearing the complete outfit that went on Super Talk Barbie. but I do not have that outfit anymore. The funny thing about her was they had actually cut her hair. It looked like they had like cut her hair, like they put her hair in it. Her hair was originally in a ponytail, and they just basically cut the ponytail off, and her hair was like the stub of hair that was left was sticking straight up, and they like put a lot of gel in her hair, so it was really weird. So, and I used to play with her anyway back then, so she's been through a lot, as you can tell. She was another one that I painted a swimsuit on, or bra and panties on. And so recently I started rerouting her, so hopefully I will finish her soon. She needs some repainting done to her face because a lot of her face paint came off. Then we have my 2 Sweetheart Barbies. Well, actually my 3 Sweetheart Barbies. I wanted to call her Sweetheart Christy. Every time I see that head mold, it makes me want to say Christy. But there's 3 of them. So I got her back in 2005, I believe, and she was actually just a head floating around the Goodwill. And I actually wound up finding her body. This Goodwill was kind of trashy. All their toys in the toy section were in like tubs or containers. And so I wound up finding her body in one container and her head in another. So I wound up piecing her together. And I actually didn't know that the body was hers. I just saw a Barbie body and a head, and I was like, okay, there we go. And I stuck the 2 together, and apparently it was her body, because years later I found her. And they both have silver underwears. So I'll show that to you now. So if you can see back there, they have pearlized silver undies. And she also has the same thing. And I played with this doll a lot. She may look like she has a fat head, but I actually repaired her neck. Kind of, sort of. Her neck is a lot shorter. She was basically like Star Trek Barbie. If you can see that chip taken out of her neck. That's how this one was, but her chip was like really big. And I didn't have another body to rebody her on. So this is basically what I did. I cut the majority of the neck off to the point where it was chipped really bad, which was over here. It goes down a little ways. And what I did was I like carved out one of these things, because if you rip off a Barbie's head, there's the prong that holds this joint in place, and then there's another one down here where that connects to the back piece. The front connects to the back, and they glued it together. So I ended up cracking her body open after I carved this out, and I was able to slip it over this rod that goes through there. And so it stays on. I know a lot of trouble just to keep her on this body, but I didn't have another one for her. And also I just kind of wanted to keep her silver undies, so I really like that. Don't ask me why. It just fascinates me that they came with like different, like some of them came with white, some of them came with flesh colored, some of them came with pink, all different kinds of colors of them, and I love the print, like with the bees and flowers. But yeah, I found this one like 5 years later at the flea market, and she had a haircut, but I wound up keeping her. And her neck also has gotten broken. She also has chewed feet, but I love her nonetheless. I tended to buy a lot of Barbies from the 90s back then that had some sort of, you know, wear or tear, because I felt bad for them. So I'm so happy to have them, and she's really pretty too. I love the Sweetheart line. I hope to find the brunette. And then I found this one back in 2016. Yeah, 2016. And she still has her necklace. That one also had her necklace too, but it broke, so. But she has her necklace. She has a few paint chips or smears to her lipstick. If you can see, like, some of her lipstick on the top is missing. But she was one of the dolls I got in a lot back in 2016, and I couldn't believe I had found her. I didn't even know they had an African American one that was wearing, I figured the African American would be wearing pink like the regular Barbie, which is why I think I call her Christy, because she was completely different. But anyhow, there she is, and I wound up boil washing her hair so it's all straight. Never in this dress. The only thing that disappointed me, again, is the underwears on her. She actually has just regular white undies. She doesn't have the silver ones like they do. I just thought that the silver ones made them seem more fancy and majestic. I don't know. But there's her, and I really love her orange lipstick. And then we have Avon Winter Rhapsody Barbie. I got her at the flea market back in 2008, I believe. Yeah. 2008 or 2007, I can't really, I think it was 2007, winter of 2007. And it was weird because the setup was outside and there was like a bunch of tarps on the ground with like stuffed animals and things lying all over the place. And she was the only Barbie amongst all of these like really old grungy toys. And so I couldn't find the seller anywhere that was around, so I left her there. And I was still there at the end of the day, and they were like throwing out a bunch of stuff that they didn't sell, and she was one of the things that they were going to throw out. And fortunately, I caught them right before they could do it, and they just gave her to me. So she had her necklace, but I wound up I had a problem with like taking off Barbie heads, and like sometimes I would put them on different bodies and stuff. So I wound up taking off her necklace. I think I took her head off for her necklace, and I put it on another doll, and then I think I lost that doll that I put it on. So, but she has her outfit. And then we have, I actually have another one. So yes, I wound up finding her. So here's my 3. Actually, 1 second. Actually, my 4 Color Splash Barbies. So I had to find them, but I will include the doll heads because they're basically dolls too, just without bodies. But I've wound up finding her and her at the flea market with the guy I got them from the guy with all the DVDs and stuff. And this one was the worst one out of them. I actually need to brush her hair and boil wash her again. But her hair was so bad when I found her. She had a huge matted ball for hair, and the little girls that owned her, whoever owned her before, had taken the first part of her hair up, and they had like 2 red rubber bands. They were rubber bands, not elastics. They were 2 rubber bands, and I think after that they had ponytailed her hair up. So they did like 2 ponytails there and 1 big one. And all of those rubber bands had disintegrated in her hair, and she was super dirty. She was missing part of her hand, like one of her hands. And she had shoe marks all over her body, and she was missing her feet. So I bought her anyway because I felt pity upon her. And I actually kept her on her original body there for a while because I didn't really mind the fact that she was chewed, because I liked the fact that it told a story of her history. So I wound up finding her, and that's her sister right there. So I found her, and I wound up cleaning her up, but I just have to find her another body because hers fell apart. So there's her sister. She is a lot different looking than the other one. Not sure if you can see that, but like she has darker eyes than this one, and her makeup is more intense than this one, but they're both China variants. And then here's the other one. So I actually found her, and I actually wound up using her body for another doll, but I couldn't throw her away or do anything like that. Usually if a Barbie head has a lot of, well, even then I don't throw Barbie heads away. I feel really horrible if I do that, so I just don't. I keep a lot of Barbie heads, just because some of them I use as pencil toppers if I can't find them a body or something and they're really messed up. But her face is actually really perfect, and the reason I haven't taken out her hair, and when I found her at the Goodwill, her hair was like, it was like sticking straight up from whenever her hair was ponytailed, and it was kind of like swirled. So, but they had cut all of her hair off, and it was really sad. But she is the Indonesia variant, and as you can, Her hair is like super buttery, so she keeps like slipping out of my hand. But as you can see, she has like bright platinum hair versus the darker golden hair Saran variant. So this one has Connectlawn hair. And I really love how it looks. I also don't mind her shorter hairstyle. I wound up boil washing her hair down into this style, and I trimmed it up so you can see all those layers in there. So I did all those. So she just kind of has a short hairstyle now that looks kind of funny. But yeah, there's that one. And this one I wound up getting her back in 2014, I believe. Yeah. And this one and her I got back in 2008. Yeah. Or 2009, I think. Early 2009, I believe. And then I got her at the thrift store back in 2015. And I could not believe I had found her because she's one of the harder ones to find out in the wild. But she still has her earrings and she is so gorgeous. Yeah, she's the Christie one. And I have her in this clone mermaid doll outfit that I got from just a cheap dollar store. But I felt it went so well with her colors. I actually used to have her in that, but I felt it looked better on her. And each one of the dolls from this line, from the Splash and Color line, have different earrings. So she has like those clamshells and she has those shell earrings. Their facial screenings are really nice, and I love how they come with the glitter tinsel in their hair. And they have 2 streaks of color change hair. The makeup is really pretty. You can see the gold shimmer on her. Really pretty. And then we move on to, I believe this is, yeah, we're still at 1996, so I really should write these down somewhere so I know what dates they're from. So this is my, I had her in a video a long time ago where I was deplugging all her hair plugs and I rerouted her. So this is Pretty, or not, what am I thinking? Pretty Choices Barbie, there we go. Took me a moment to, a little while to remember that. But yeah, she was another doll that I got in the $1 bin at the flea market, and she had hacked hair. She was actually the blonde variant of this doll, and I wound up rerouting her hair to its original, to the original hair length that she had. So it goes all the way down. So she was one of the dolls that I had wanted for a long time. When I got her at the flea market, or when I saw her at the flea market, I was like, I've always wanted her, so I just had to get her because I loved the fact that she was a pale superstar Barbie with brown eyes. So I thought that was really, really pretty. And she's in this Birthday Wishes Barbie dress. But I love how she turned out. And it took me like a week to finish rerouting her because she has a lot of hair plugs that need to be filled, and I really wanted her to have that 90s thickness. I mean, I could have easily just skipped a lot of her hair plugs and made her hair thinner to save me the time, but I wanted her to have super, super, super thick hair. And I really like her necklace and the outfit. I'm hoping to get her boxed someday because her outfit is really pretty. And then we have my most favorite holiday Barbie ever. This is the 1996 holiday Barbie, and she has a very English look to her. I really love her face and her peachy, like rosy skin tone. Like she's like really pale. If I can get it to focus. There we go. I finally got it to focus. But as you can see, she has a really pretty face. She has like light rose pink eyeshadow. It's kind of reddish. And she has also purple eyeshadow in there too. But her irises, if you can see her irises, are 2 different shades of purple, and right there at the bottom she has a maroon in her iris. So her eyes are 3 different colors, and she has this really beautiful like wine red lipstick. Very, very pretty. And I also got her in the same lot with Pretty Choices Barbie. So she was $1 when I got her, which was a steal because she pretty much came with everything except her shoes. She still had her little muff, which I don't have that anymore, but she had her hat and she had her original outfit. So there's her. This is Birthday Surprise Barbie. And I believe, yeah, I think she's from 96. Okay, yeah. So over here is 1997. Yeah, 1997. Yes. Okay. I'm having trouble remembering, but this is a doll I found at the thrift store, and it took me a while to identify her because she has the exact same facial screening as she has the exact same face as Songbird Barbie. There we go. So yeah, she has the same face, but she has a bent arm body, and she had purple earrings. It was funny because whenever I was trying to get her identified online, people kept asking if she was body swapped or if someone put those earrings in. And I was like, no, she came this way. And usually whenever someone body swaps dolls, you can tell because sometimes there will be cracks or the neck joint will be stretched out. And also, a lot of little kids, when they swap out earrings, there'll usually be bite marks on the earrings. So, nope. But I wound up getting her identified as 1996 birthday Barbie, or birthday surprise Barbie, should I say. She wasn't like one of the birthday Barbies in a big gown, but she was a birthday surprise doll, kind of basic. I think she came in a slim box. And then we have Clueless Amber doll from 1996. So I don't really know anything about Clueless, but I do love the dolls. I love their face molds. And I like how they don't really look like the celebrities all that much. They just look like, to me, because of their smoothed out facial molds, like the way they molded did the face molds, they're a lot smoother than the actual person's face is, or the celebrity that they're supposed to look like, which makes them look more doll-like. And the facial screenings, they have the big animated eyes and stuff. So it just looks like another friend of Barbie or something. So, and I love her peachy skin tone, her magenta makeup with her green eyes and her auburn hair. Well, the funny thing about her is she has auburn and she has like bright red hair. So she has like two-toned hair. And she is in this Sparkle Girls outfit. I really love her. Then we have Gap Barbie from 96. And she was another doll I found I actually found both of those together, so I suspect they belong to the same owner, because it was another incident where I assumed that somebody had donated all their 90s Barbies, or their daughter's 90s Barbies, or something like that. So that was another one. She was super mint condition. And then we have my Thor Bead Blast Barbies. So this was the first one I got back in 2005. And you notice she looks kind of funny because I actually wound up cutting off her bangs because they wouldn't stop sticking up. This was way before I knew how to repair doll hair, but her bangs would not stop sticking up, so I remember cutting them off. And I wound up cutting her hair too, because basically what happened was when I found her at the Goodwill, her hair was like balled up in certain areas, and it was really weird because her hair looked like it had been cut because of that. So I wound up cutting it, then I brushed it out, and all the shorter piece, or all the longer pieces that were balled up wound up getting revealed. So there's that. But I'll go over more of those in the later video since my memory card is running out of storage. So I will mention more about those in the next video. So anyhow, thank you guys for watching, and more videos to come. Remember to stay true to you.